Hi, Mr. Owen.
Hi, Mr. Owen. Brian
yourself.
Collier from ADP. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Pleasure
Great.
to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to see me. Do you mind if I take a seat?
Not a problem. Grab a seat.
Perfect. Well, here's my business card. This also has my personal cell phone number on it.
Okay.
Do you have one for me as well?
I do as well, absolutely.
Excellent.
Probably have some gelato on it, so I apologize.
Not a problem. I actually would love that. In fact, I was in your shop the other day and I had the coconut flavor.
Coconut is awesome.
Oh, it was my favorite. I loved it. I love ice cream. I love gelato, but it really got me interested in learning about the difference between the two. And I read how important it is to have really high quality ingredients in order to make exceptional flavors like yours. Would you agree with that?
I agree, and we're not pumping ourselves up. Obviously, when we went to Italy, we were like, man, this is such an awesome deal, and it's not as heavy as ice cream, and it's kind of it's almost like a digestive, really. It's just
so good.
It's great.
So I also read that it's really bad if you have a slightly less quality ingredient. It's going to turn your flavor into just not as exceptional.
Yeah, the flavor tends to lack, and then the texture, which is what most people really enjoy because it's not as firm as like a hard packed ice cream, but it's not as soft as soft serve.
Okay.
So if you don't invest in the quality of the ingredients, it doesn't give the same experience.
Exactly. You know, it got me thinking. You could really compare that making gelato and running a business. You have all these different ingredients in gelato. You have all these different aspects of running a business.
Yep.
But let's say your payroll is out of line. That's going to affect the whole fluidity of your business. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
So what we want to do is actually get you back to focusing on what you do best while we do what we do best. Because I'm sure you didn't get into this business to become an expert in payroll, did you?
No, not at all.
Yes, exactly. So with that being said, I actually have this roadmap here of how we're going to follow this meeting.
Okay.
So what I want to do is to start out by really understanding you and your business and identifying what it is you're exactly looking for.
Okay.
We'll talk about all these different aspects that we provide value and see where you might be having some challenges.
Okay.
If you do see the value in what we provide, price is right, we'll talk about the next steps, okay?
Sounds great.
How does that sound?
Sounds awesome.
Great. So to start out, is there anybody else you would like to have in this meeting that's part of the decision process?
No, I mean Dorothy's. This is kind of her wheelhouse, but she's in the middle of doing payroll right now.
Okay,
so she's busy. But no, she knew I was meeting with you. She doesn't need to be in on this.
Okay, so she's the one that does the payroll. Let me write that down.
I'm just the owner of the business.
Now, when you are doing business with another company, what exactly are some things that you're looking for with partnering with somebody?
I just obviously. I mean, really, if I were to take a temperature of how things are, I mean, obviously Dorothy's just stressed, so she's just crunching a lot of hours in. And so, somebody that saves us time, I think, is great. Okay. We're a family-owned business, and we're growing, and we're having some growing pains as a part of that, but just somebody who just makes things easy.
Excellent. Okay. Now, Allie shared with me a little bit about your company. You have 60 employees right now, 3 locations?
Yeah, I think, it's about 63.
63?
Excuse me. It's about 21 a location.
Okay.
And then you have a manager for each store.
Okay.
Which is going to be 3. We do have a floating manager. Myself, my sister Dorothy, my brother Steve, and then our new franchising consultant, Frank Jack.
Okay, so you just said franchise. Would we want to be exploring for one location or multiple locations?
This would be a multiple location thing, but probably not in the immediate horizon. I would say that this is kind of a vision for maybe a few years out. Okay. We've got some local necessities we need to handle before that.
Okay, understood. Now, you did identify to me that Dorothy right now is having a lot of stress, especially with the payroll processing. So kind of share with me a little bit about that.
So she's spending about 12 hours a day just in the office, just as it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's busy season now. It's warm outside, pretty outside. So this is when people are, this is when they're buying gelato. And so she's got 2 teenage kids at home, my niece and my nephew. They got baseball and ballet and all these activities she's not able to enjoy with them. Right. And I want to make sure that we take some of that load off of her back so she can do those things. So her role is actually HR and marketing.
Okay, so she does both.
Correct. And so, but she's probably allocating 60% to the HR role and 40% to the marketing.
Okay. So with the HR role, meaning she's looking up all the different compliance and changes in that?
We're actually having kind of an issue with that.
Share with me about that issue.
We don't really know what the regulations are. We're not really sound in that area.
Have you had any problems with any fines?
We haven't yet, but it's just like, it's like going into a business meeting and you got a hole in your pants. It's like at that point you can't do anything about it except for just get through it.
Okay.
So we haven't had any issues, but we don't want any issues.
Right, absolutely. Okay, you said that she's spending 60% of her time on the HR, 12 hours in total every single day on the business. Okay,
right.
That's pretty significant.
And so,
what can you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean we're in a business where we're hiring a lot of students and teenagers, and when kids go back to school, they don't have the time, or they go to college, and so they're out, and so there's some transition there, and it just requires us to constantly have the support there. That's
Absolutely.
what she focuses on.
So because you have so many part-time employees that are in college, are you having a lot of turnover as well?
I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say turnover, just transition, really.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to hire kids, and I was a kid, and I probably had 3 jobs, maybe 4 jobs for my teenage years until I got my full-time job. With the clothing business, then got out of that, now I'm in the gelato business. And so, but teenagers are not in that full-time mode.
Of course not. What problems are you having with that as far as the transition goes?
Having to retrain people, having to bring people on, and so, and that, that takes time.
That takes time. And would that go into the time that she's currently spending the 12 hours on the business, or is that even separate?
No, that goes into the 12 hours. But she wants to really, and I want her to have the ability to focus on the marketing aspect of it. Okay,
excellent. So she can use that time to market your company, really promote it. That'd be great.
And if she could spend maybe 12, maybe 9 to 10 hours a day, I think that's more feasible.
Okay.
But 12 is a lot. Even in a gelato business.
Absolutely, I agree. So you've identified a couple of areas that right now you're really having some challenges, especially with Dorothy's stress. She's not really able to spend that time on the marketing. She's spending it so much on the payroll processing, and especially on the HR compliance.
Right.
And as far as the hiring goes, you are having a difficult transition between all the time that you're having to spend hiring new employees. Right. So what other challenging areas are you experiencing? Anything in time and attendance, or?
No, that doesn't seem to be bad.
Excellent.
I think obviously if we looked at our 3 locations, we have our Buckhead location that's doing very well.
Okay.
That was our first location. Then we have our North Point location, which is our mall location.
Okay.
We've been losing money there.
Really?
Yeah.
In what field? In what area?
It's a high rent. It's a high rent, area anyway, but we're just not being able to market it enough to offset the cost.
Understood.
And then we have a 3rd location in an affluent area, but that one's doing well.
It's doing well.
Yeah.
So it's just that one location's not getting the attention it needs.
Right.
If Dorothy was able to take that time, spend it on the marketing, that could totally promote the business.
We could probably turn that around a little bit.
Great. Okay. So if you were able to find a company that would give you back that time by providing you solutions in these areas that we identified, would that be something that you'd be interested in looking into?
Sure.
Great.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So I do want to share with you a little bit about ADP, since this is a company you could potentially be doing business with.
Okay.
What sets us apart from other companies that do payroll is that we're not just focused on payroll. We provide service in all different aspects, from recruiting all the way to tax and liability.
Cool.
Okay. With that being said, we really can speak for our numbers. The 3 numbers I really want to point out is 1 in 6, 600,000, and 98%. Okay. 1 in 6 employees actually use our payroll service or paid through our payroll processing. 600,000 companies is our client base, and we have a 98% retention rate. So that means if they're not satisfied, they wouldn't be coming back for more. Would you agree?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it really speaks volumes. So I do want to kind of explore some of these areas that you mentioned, but I do want to walk you through the payroll processing so that you can understand what it is Dorothy would actually be doing and how simple and easy it is. 12 hours is quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I want to make sure that she's feeling the work-life balance. Because when we were in Italy and we came up with this concept, we're like, if we're going to do this, let's not sacrifice what's most important to us, which is family.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, let me scoot over here so you can actually see this. Okay, so this is our app. You're able to process your payroll on the go wherever you are, okay? So we're going to go ahead and click Resume Weekly. Go ahead and click on that. It works. Perfect.
Oh, there it is. I'm just not pressing it.
There we go.
Hard enough.
All right, so it's going to bring up the payroll processing period that you're in right now.
Okay.
Great part is that you're able to look back on other periods as well. So you don't have to keep files here and there.
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and click Resume.
Okay.
This will bring up all your different employees. So all 63 of them will be here. If there are any changes in their hours, go ahead and enter that in there, okay? Now go ahead and click Preview. Calculate.
All right.
And then you're going to be all done, and your payroll is processed, okay? So compared to, I would say, 40% of that 12 hours that she's spending, how much time do you feel that actually took her? if she was to do this?
I mean, probably not that long. I mean, in the system that we have currently, Moriah, it's easy. It's pay time is what we use, and it's very, very easy. And so, I'm like, do we go to a completely new system where we got to learn it all again from something and that looks easy, but we go from one thing to another thing. I'm like, does it even make sense to change?
Okay, so share with me more of your concern about the change.
I mean, just, pay time is simple, which helps. But I'm like, we'd have to learn a completely new system, and I'm like, even though that's easy, I'm like, is it worth doing things differently?
Okay, so you're concerned about the change, transition between that. Fully understand. In fact, I have another client from Joe's Pizza. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
They actually had a very similar concern. Okay, they felt that they liked how their payroll was being processed, even though they were spending so much time on it.
Right.
But what they found, and I'll actually provide you a letter, is that the transition process was so minimal. It actually took them 30 minutes to understand how the program worked, but also implement it. And that really was 30 minutes well spent to be able to have 12 hours, in your case, back to be able to dedicate it to your marketing and your business. Because right now you said she is spending so much time processing her payroll, it is pretty significant. So do you feel like if you were to implement just 30 minutes of your time or invest 30 minutes of your time to transition this, that would give you better value having that time back?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible.
Does that clear up that concern for you?
Sure.
Great. Well, here's that letter here that I'll actually provide for you.
Okay.
So now let's talk about human resource and compliance. But first I want to bring up a little sheet here. This actually talks about how if a HR manager's time is spent on human resource management, this is only 30%. If you're paying them 20 hours, just in a year's time, that's costing you $12,480. So did you realize that if you're only investing 30% of your time in HR, understanding the compliance issues, that you're spending that amount of money?
I didn't.
You probably didn't. It's different to see it in writing. So that's pretty significant. I'm going to write that down as a current cost of what you're experiencing, $12,480, and it's actually double that. So imagine not only would Dorothy be able to invest that time in the marketing, but you're going to be able to save that amount of money, and I'm going to show you how.
Okay.
Through our app, we actually have a portal here that allows you to, let me bring it up, that goes into the human resource and all the different compliance. So you'll go over here, human resource, HR checkup. It's going to bring up all the current different compliance laws that have had changes. You can do background checks as well. So that's all up to date. We actually have a team that's going to be able to provide you that service by always doing that research. So she's not spending that amount of time on that aspect, okay? So let's kind of recap. So we talked about how we're going to save you that 12 hours that Dorothy is spending both in HR compliance and the payroll processing by limiting the amount of time that she's spending through our app as well as through the service that we provide, okay?
Right.
Ultimately, that's going to save you $12,480, okay, which is a pretty significant amount of money, all right? So with that being said, do you feel like this product that we're able to provide you is giving you the value that you're looking for?
I mean, it seems easy, it seems interesting. Obviously I don't know what something like this costs.
Okay, absolutely. Let's talk about price. So you pay your employees bi-weekly, is that correct?
Weekly.
Weekly,
yep. Okay.
So here we have 51 plus employees. If you're, this is going to be the price per pay period, okay? If you're paying them weekly, your yearly cost is only going to be $4,097, excuse me.
Okay.
So I'll put that down, $4,097, okay? Now, as far as the time and attendance, do you use a keypad right now?
It is a, it's a keypad.
Okay, perfect. So that's only going to be $800 for that a year, okay? So your total cost is $4,800 as compared to $12,480 that you're spending right now. So financially, does that make more sense to you?
Well, right now, here's what we're paying. We're paying, $50 a week.
Okay.
And so to go from $50 to $78.95, obviously that's going to be a little bit of a jump, and obviously if we're trying to get our North Point location up to speed, and we're talking about controlling costs, we're talking about spending more money to do that, and so I'm just having a little bit of pause with that. Okay,
so your concern is more from the aspect of right now you're paying that $50 per pay period, whereas this is going to jump you up $70.
Correct.
Okay. Now, your current payroll processing, they only do the payroll. Is that correct?
That is correct.
They don't do the human resource management.
No.
Okay. See, that's the difference that I see. With ADP, we're able to give you that HR compliance service, okay? Which is going to save Dorothy 60% of that 12 hours, okay? So even though you're not able to see the numbers right now, that is money that we identified that you're actually spending, $12,480.
Okay.
If you had an extra $12,480 in your pocket, what would you like to do with it?
I would probably, figure out a way to streamline the North Point location a little bit more, and then I'd maybe go take another vacation somewhere.
Exactly. So that's actually going to really align with your goals to invest that money into your marketing and even give yourself potentially a vacation. So even though it may seem like more with that extra $28 that you're spending, that's really going towards investing in your company's future. So with that being said, do you feel a little bit more comfortable with the price?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, great. Well, what I would recommend, since you do see the value and the price is right, why don't we get moving forward and get this implemented in your company?
I appreciate you asking. I'm probably not prepared to make a decision on it today, only for the simple fact that this is kind of Dorothy's wheelhouse.
Understood.
So I kind of want to make sure she's involved in the process.
Absolutely.
Because if we think it's great and she doesn't, then it doesn't really matter because she's the one that's going to handle this.
Absolutely.
But, that being said, if she does, then, I don't think there'd be anything standing in the way.
Okay, so if she's on board with it, you're on board with it, and we can move forward with it then?
Sure.
Great. Well, let's, how would Wednesday at 12 o'clock work for both you and Dorothy?
If we can maybe do something in the morning, that would probably be better.
Okay.
Yeah, just lunchtime we'll get a lot of foot traffic, so
Definitely.
I think morning would be best.
Okay, let's do Wednesday, 9 a.m.?
9 should be fine.
9 would work? Great. All right, I will actually write that down on your folder here and put all this material. Is there anything else I can provide you as far as information for Dorothy to have?
No, I think obviously everything that you provided has been great, and I think on our next meeting we'll see what she thinks about it, and then we can talk about next steps after that.
Great, and I'll leave this here for you as well so you can recap with her, get her up to date.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, I really look forward to our meeting. I really appreciate you taking the time to see me.
Thank you for your time,
so much.
Mariah. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yay.
How much in advance did you finish by?
17 minutes. So actually pretty good. Awesome. When I was practicing, it was I was finishing right on point. So that was great.
How do you think it went?
I think it went really well.
Cool.
I think it went well. But yes, so you're with Tom James. Exciting. What location are you at?
I'm in Houston.
Houston. Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
So yeah.
So how long have you been with them?
Graduated from University of Central Florida at the end of 2007. So I've been with them for 7 years.
Wow, that's great.
It's been awesome.
Has it been?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's great. So it's very referral based. So tell me how you go about getting these clients.
Just like any other business and sales, obviously, like I imagine at the end of this presentation, you're going to be like, what other businesses would be interested in something like this? I mean, we build it by referrals.
Okay.
Figure out who is probably a good candidate, men or ladies, and we seek them out that way.
That's great.
So
every interaction I've had with the company, I've been more and more impressed. It's so based around building you up as an individual, not just as a professional, and what you can do for the company. And I think that speaks volumes.
I've been with other sales companies, and that was one of the things that appealed to me about Tom James. Is I'm like, I can figure out companies that'll help me sell more and make more money, like be a better Alex Homer. That's something that I would certainly, that's the value added that is priceless.
Definitely. And I've noticed that with every single rep that I speak with, they always say the same thing, like, I've just become such a better person. I think that's just amazing. Not many people can say that. They're like, oh yeah, I enjoy my job, it provides me this, but... Well,
we don't have Kool-Aid that we're passing
around. I've noticed.
I can't speak on anybody else's behalf, but it's been great. I mean,
that's great.
When I came into the business, back in 2008, it was a learning experience.
Okay.
Because the economy was not great, and we're selling... is what I would consider to be somewhat of a luxury service.
Right.
And so I had to humble myself a lot. But it's been awesome.
That's great.
And it's been a journey. So where are you originally from? You're from Florida?
No, I'm actually originally from Colorado.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
And I was a ballerina my whole life. Brought me to Florida. And so that's where I've been. I actually did my first 2 years abroad in the Republic of Panama. So
did you?
It was really exciting. Loved
How was that?
It was so much fun, actually. Probably wasn't as focused on school as I should have been, but experiencing a whole new culture and environment was just priceless.
I thought that was awesome.
It was supposed to be just a 1-semester commitment, ended up being 2 years. So,
so what do you think of Florida versus Colorado? I mean, I'm sure you enjoy. I mean, Colorado's got beautiful weather from what I hear. You know, but Florida, Florida, you can't beat it.
You really can't. I enjoy having a summer.
Yeah.
Like a very long, prolonged
Right.
summer, whereas in Colorado it's 9 months out of the year, it's snowing, the weather's very bipolar. But I do miss the mountains a lot. I was
Sure.
out there over spring break visiting my sister, and I absolutely loved being out there.
Florida's flat.
Florida's very flat. It is.
Mariah, great job. When do you graduate?
Great. I graduate actually this